Fired up footballers, James here as per usual, and I have a guest joining us via Skype. It's Jiggly, John Carollo III, resident Fire fan over in Section 8. And Jiggly, what's going on there?
I'm just extremely angry about the recent trade
that
we just saw.
When I saw it happen, I knew you were going to be upset, and I was excited to hear your thoughts.
I found out about it after I came home from watching The Incredibles, and I knew nothing about it and saw all the fallout already. But the thing with Jon Bakero is a lot of people haven't really seen much from him throughout preseason or in games. But the thing is that that's the point that I'm trying to make here, which is he hasn't gotten a chance. And so, just this whole thing, we were discussing. I don't know whether it was we were discussing it yesterday or me and your brother
it might have been
were
me.
Discussing it.
I think you and I were discussing some Bakero stuff yesterday.
Yeah. So it was just, I remember that during the combine and my whole thing, because I scout the draft, not as thoroughly as I could scout the draft, but I put together a spreadsheet, and
You've been doing this for a few years now, too, haven't you?
Who, all throughout college has scored, 37 goals, has gotten 26 assists, most of them within his last 2 seasons. He won the Mac Herman Trophy, which is basically the MVP trophy, and we traded all the way up to 5th to get him.
What did we trade? A 15th round pick, Matt Lampson, and around 175 Gam Tam, or something like that?
Yeah, about that. And then, we've gone and wasted it. Again, he didn't show up in preseason, but there's plenty of other players who don't show up in preseason and then do show up, or show up in preseason and then do nothing during the season. And there's other things within this that we're not exactly trading away somebody for an international slot. We're trading away a player who takes up an international slot for another player who takes up an international slot.
Almost like for like, but the one big difference is that we're getting something that we sorely were lacking as soon as Matt Polster went down in that right back, where it's been a revolving door. And Bakero hasn't been super useful this season. So, I could see the idea, what they're going for. Maybe, trade. But I agree with you that they had to throw in another $50K GAM to trade him for someone who, should have been acquired on much cheaper costs.
Yes, exactly. There's the whole thing with, one of the things that I've been seeing recently is that there's a very, very low mathematical chance of the Fire making the playoffs at this point.
It's going down.
So, I don't remember, but I think it may have been we needed at least around 2 points per game. We had to match some sort of rate that the 2016 or 2017 Toronto team had throughout that entire season. So that's a bit difficult. And
big ask.
While we're getting a youngish player, he's not exactly a prospect.
26 years old, Liechtensteiner, international. But he is versatile. He can play center mid, right wing back, right mid, and right back. And apparently he has some passing ability to him. One interesting thing I thought was that we now have both of Toronto's winning outside backs from their championship winning year, their treble winning year.
Oh yeah, I don't see getting Hasler as a bad thing. I see losing Bakero as the bad thing in this trade. I think that Hasler, he's a good player, and he's going to help us. He's going to help us now, and he might help us for the next few years. He's also on a very low contract, which I think has something else to do with this trade. So it's just...
Good point. Good point on that cheap contract. That was pointed out, too. And for you to go from such a high as Incredibles 2 to such a low as getting traded from Bakero, that had to be quite a shock, because I saw Incredibles 2. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
But past that, this move, I saw Danny Santorita tweet out that if the Toronto calls you, it's kind of like if, the Golden State Warriors call you. You just hang up the phone.
Yeah, definitely. Look at the Golden State Warriors right now. They have everyone. Look at Toronto. They have pretty much everyone that you'd want except all the players on Atlanta, I guess. So it's just this whole thing where they don't need to get any stronger, and now we're sending them prospects for the future that are going to keep them strong for a while.
Yeah, I agree with you there. He looks like he's one that, given some time and given some consistency of minutes, he might actually really flourish. I mean, his dad is the coach of the Barcelona youth team. There's a lot of pedigree there. He was a Barcelona legend on top of that, his dad. So he's all that weighing on him. He was the college player of the year, as you were saying earlier in the show. And this kid wants to succeed. He wants to make it. He wants to be able to be good enough to go overseas, I'm assuming. So, this is probably definitely a dent in his ego, but maybe it opens up an opportunity for him that wasn't available under Paunovic.
Yeah, I think that Pauno wasn't going to be playing him in the right position. What I've noticed with Pauno, with how he likes his attackers, is that he likes them to be able to, how in fantasy football you've got the flex position?
Yeah.
He wants every single attacker to be a flex. He wants them to play anywhere on that final third of the pitch. He wants them to be able to play striker, to be able to play that 9.5 role that, Delu plays in. He likes them to be on the wings. So, Bakero, he can do it, but when you put him out to the wing, his kind of ability a little bit diminishes.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like Collier's, because they're both taller guys where they don't necessarily have that explosiveness. They got some decent touch. I think Bakero might have the better touch, but their skill set doesn't suit being moved out wide. I agree with you there. And then, so where did he make his hay in college? He was at striker most of the time?
He was at striker, second striker. He was playing alongside, I believe, Ian Harkes.
Wow.
I got that name wrong before.
Ian Harkes, or Harkes, the son of the other Harkes, who was playing for the U.S. men's national team. And he's got some...
his dad.
He's a pretty good player, I hear.
But, yeah, he was playing in that second striker role, that striker role, and I guess he wouldn't be able to get much time at that striker role because of Nico. He wouldn't be able to get much time at the second striker role because of Delu. But he should have been getting time at that second striker role because Delu has been injured this entire time.
Absolutely.
I think that he would have slotted him perfectly.
Absolutely. I totally agree, especially if that was what Pauno's intentions were at the beginning of the season, to play that 4-2-3-1. But he's been jumping around. He's eventually settled on that 4-3-3 there for a little while, and with the incoming of these new players, it makes me wonder, and some other writers out there, I think Danny Santamarita might have suggested it too, that a 3-5-2 might be incoming for the Chicago Fire.
Which I'm very uncertain about that, especially the way that we looked the last time we tried playing the 3-5-2.
Well, with Basti in the center back role, and maybe he doesn't function as well there. And if you could get somebody to replace him there, maybe you can make it work better. But a 3-5-2 is a lot of moving parts. Versus a flat 4-4-2 or even a 4-2-3-1, and introducing all those moving parts in the middle of the season might be problematic. But so maybe, like you said earlier, this might be a scrapped season.
Yeah, I think that it's not enough, and it's not going to be enough. We're going to have to basically win every single game, and I don't think that that's really even possible at the moment. The only thing that we can really hope for is to keep moving on the Open Cup, which we've got an away game against Philly, and we know how those go.
Oh, it's done? They already had the draw?
Yeah, I believe so. Somebody said something. I haven't seen anything official from anybody, but somebody said something. So that's just what I'm saying.
That would be unfortunate, but like you said, and Jeffrey and I said this before, beating a team twice, very hard.
Yes.
Let me think about what else. Do we have anything else you want to bring to the conversation, or have we covered most of it?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it about him. I mean, there's the whole thing. Oh, I even forgot. Everybody's saying that we haven't seen much from him. That's just when he's playing for the Fire.
Oh, good point. Yeah, I have this written down.
I don't even have this pulled up yet, but he's scored like
2 goals.
2 goals.
2 goals, 1 assist down in USL in 3 games. That's a point a game player right there.
He's done phenomenally down there, and if we're being honest, it should be him up here instead of Collier. That's the other thing I want to get at.
Yeah, Collier probably he's not showing enough, but he's definitely, from what I've seen from between him and Bakero, he's shown more than Bakero. at this point, but that's also because, like you said, he's been getting the minutes where Bakero's been getting nothing. And the minimal minutes that Bakero's gotten in USL, he shined. I saw an MLS writer tweet something out that there was some USL player that had a similar scoring rate in about 355 minutes of USL, and they were saying, oh, that translates to success at MLS. And when I saw that, I immediately thought of Bakero, because that was today I saw that. And I'm like, are the Fire selling too low on Bakero here and maybe just not giving him enough time to develop, like you're saying? Or
Absolutely. We've been doing this for a while, unfortunately. We did this, a bit higher profile, but we did this to Harry Shipp.
Jeffrey played with Harry Shipp. We were a bit jaded when we saw that he was going, because Jeffrey, was excited for him to get some minutes with the team.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't hear much because Skype is weird.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, it's the internet. But yeah, Jeffrey played with Harrison Shipp back in school, back when they were in club, and he was a really good player. So he's really hoping for him to succeed, and we were both really a little ticked off when we saw that he got shipped off.
Yeah, he was finally going. I had actually talked to him like a week before he got traded away. It was because I was doing a bunch of interviews with players at the jersey unveiling events, and I talked to him and I asked him, what do you think about finally being able to play in that central role? And he was like, I love it. I would love to go back to his central role. That's where he was able to play. We weren't able to play him there, and then we just shipped him off, and he kept playing on a wide role, and now he's just a wide midfielder now.
Wow, that's a great point. If we would have had Harry Shipp here to be able to put on the field as well as Georgi Mihailovic last season, maybe Shipp and Georgi would have pushed each other to new heights, and maybe we've seen a little bit more success out of Shipp there at that central position. They probably sold too early on Harrison Shipp. I totally agree with you there, and then they were left holding nothing for Cam. They have no Cam. They have no number 10 type, really, that would fit the role after they shipped out Shipp. Couple other players that you think they probably shipped out too early. Calistri?
Yeah, Joey Calistri, definitely. He's a poacher. He's basically a younger version of Alan Gordon. Mm-hmm. Younger and cheaper.
Not as tall, though, right?
Not quite as tall, but he was known when he was playing for Northwestern. He was known for coming in late and scoring goals, and that's mostly because in the college game they've got hockey-style subs going back and forth. Mm. But he could easily just be that super sub that Alan Gordon is known as.
Yeah, and there was a while there where you kept feeling like you were seeing him pop up, Joey Calistri pop up on USL Goal of the Week.
Yeah,
it was happening so often. I'm like, oh man, people started getting a little jaded about that.
Yeah, it's just that we are able to find talent, but we're not able to use it, which is something interesting coming from a coach who was known, when he came to us, was known for coaching a U20 team to winning the World Cup.
Yeah, with Sergei Milinkovic-Savic on the team. He had some quality.
We brought Paunovic as kind of as a youth coach.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't there one other guy who was shipped out maybe a little too early besides Shipp and Calistri that we were thinking?
I've got a list.
I got a list too. Jovan Jones.
Jovan Jones.
Of course. That's maybe one of the top of the list players. He
asked for a small raise, and then we shipped him out.
Mm-hmm. And there's a couple other, decent quality players that have shown here and done well, and I was surprised when they were shipped out, and other players were retained.
Another guy here who's decent and is now gone, Alex Morel. Mm-hmm. I don't personally think much of him, but I know a few people who thought that they saw something, and it's one of those things where we could have developed him if we had a USL team.
It's a great point, because we do not, and we don't have any team that is held accountable to play our players and to play the Chicago Fire style. Chicago Fire don't even know what style they're playing, so it'd probably be hard for them to tell their own USL squad, hey, play Paunovic's style, and they're like, what, a different formation every other week?
It's I remember some sort of thing or quote from American military is, if we don't know what we're doing, well, the enemy sure as heck won't know what we're doing either.
Yeah. There is some truth to that. But also on the inverse, Pano has gotten some praise for his tactical acumen. Some of the better coaches in the league have said he makes his team very tough to play against, and that's that's a mark of a decent coach.
Yes, that is definitely... It's a tactic to not have tactics, I guess.
Yeah. Going as the wild card, so to speak.
Yeah. But
you got anything else there, buddy?
I was gonna mention a few other names that are technically still here, but seem to have gone to waste. Brandon Vincent.
Brandon Vincent.
He hasn't shown much, but he could have. He could have, and now we're just rolling him around.
Yeah, and you set him back, definitely, by putting him out in center back. You've set back any development that you could have seen from him in his third or fourth year going forward as a left back, and where he could have actually finally started to see the point where he starts to excel. Because last year I didn't see it, the year before I didn't see it, and this year is like the year you're supposed to see it, and he's taken away.
Yeah, and I mean, that was the first draft that I actually paid attention to, and he was coming into that draft as allegedly the most MLS-ready player in the draft.
Mm-hmm. Stanford graduate. Yeah, smart guy, too. Oh, did I lose you there, Jiggly?
Oh, no, I thought you were talking.
Nope, sorry. But I don't know if you got anything else. Let's start wrapping it up here.
I was just going to mention the name Drew Connor is not playing much.
Oh, my gosh. You've heard Jeffrey and I rail about him. We want him playing.
Yeah, he could play right back. That's the thing. People talking about how Rafa Ramos isn't good enough. Well, we do have a backup right back, but we're not playing him. It just seems like Pano has something against players with potential.
Yeah, I don't. It's weird. So the relationship sometimes cultivated with Pano, it seems. A number of players, but he was able to somehow recruit Basti over. So there must be some charm to him.
That was mostly due to friends, I think.
All the same, high-profile friends, and Pano's probably got a few too. Pano was a good player back in the day, and he's definitely got the pedigree aspect. And one thing I got to say for him in his favor is that I feel like, maybe last year where he wasn't putting the pieces together as well, I feel like he's actually putting the pieces together a little bit better this year.
Yeah,
he's making leaps. He's going steps up in his evolution of coaching. He's getting better at it.
I've heard a couple of good things from players. I've also heard a couple of bad things from other players, but I mean,
mixed bag.
Yeah, it's very mixed, but I think that he can be a good coach if he really tries, but we're just not seeing that yet, and personally I don't know if I want to stick around to see that.
For me, I really feel like Nelson did him a severe disservice by not giving him filling up three basic holes, replacing Jaymes, giving him an actual right wing, and then if he was going to get rid of David Accam, you keep bringing in Katai. But he just left too many gaping holes in this roster that Paunovic had to seal up with USL-level players to a certain degree.
Yeah.
That's like patching up the cracks of a wall of a dam with sand. It's going to fly right out.
Yeah, that's a temporary maneuver. You need to have something better behind it.
So, I mean, that's why I'm saying maybe I'll give Paunovic a longer leash than I would give Nelson. But Nelson, on the same flip of the coin, he's nailed a few transfers. Katai, Nikolic, but then he's also lost out on some talent that we've just pointed out. It's these guys. It's like we're dealing with like a coaching unit and an MLS front office unit that's also learning on the job.
Yeah, it's preseason for everyone for the past 3 seasons.
Yeah, seriously, it's a great point. I think that's about where we could end it there, though, Jiggly.
Yeah.
I was so glad to have you on. It was awesome. Thanks for making the time. Any last thoughts you want to say, or any shout-outs or thank yous?
I hope to come back another time.
Absolutely, dude. It was awesome having you on, for sure, man. And now that we know you could do this, I mean, that's another level. All right, Jiggly. All right, fans. All right, Fire fans. We'll see you guys later. As always, subscribe for more Spitting Fire, and toss us a like if you enjoyed the analysis and the conversation with Jiggly and I. And comment below if you have anything to add. We'll see you guys later. Later.